How's everybody doing? We want to welcome you into the Opinionated Seven Footers podcast. I'm your main 7-footer, Brian Hollins. That's my dog over there standing at 7'1", 277 pounds out of North Carolina, Brendan Haywood. What up, dog?
Hey, listen, man, I'm glad to be here, but more importantly, I'm glad that we have another Tar Heel coming on the show. That's right, the Opinionated 7-Foot is bringing out my dog, UNC legend, Marvin Williams. Hey, listen, man, hey, this man plays in the league. Hey, LeBron didn't have a long career. Marvin's career might be just as long, man. Like, listen, man, Marvin Williams, UNC legend. What's up, man? What's going on with you?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. Thanks.
Hey, now, Marvin, it's our pleasure, man. And I said this earlier, man, but you've always been one of the good guys in the league. You know, Brendan always gets on me because he said I made Tim Duncan want to fight me. That's impossible to get. But I'm like, me and Marv always been good. I shot Marv an elbow one time. Marv would be like, hey, Brian, like, chill a bit. Like, oh, my bad, Marv. But Marv, man, I want to dive into what made you you. Where's your hoop identity come from? For me, man, I played in Pasadena. I was always the skinniest guy on the court. So as soon as the tall, skinny dude come on the court, they try to punk me, dog. I had to earn my way until they stopped messing with me. And all the OGs would just come and elbow me and get under me and do all that type of stuff. But it made me tougher. Trash talk. I responded to trash talk. All that. That's kind of like my hoop identity where it started, dog. Was there someone instrumental in your life? Your dad, an uncle, a cousin, an older brother, somebody, you know, Michael Jordan's older brother used to whoop on him in the backyard. Somebody who helped you become who you are, just helped that promoted that identity.
Man, I think it was a lot of people. I think mainly for me, my father. The only reason why I ever picked up a basketball is because I wanted to be like my dad. You know, my dad played basketball. That's all I ever seen him doing was working and playing ball. So that was the reason why I picked up a basketball. So I'm from the Northwest. I'm from a town called Bremerton. It's about an hour west of Seattle. So growing up, my dad used to put me on the ferry, man. I would go over to the city, the inner city, you know, and play against those guys, the older kids out there. And I feel like that's kind of how I kind of molded me a little bit to kind of get my game right.
And Marv, you said that you're from Bremerton out there close to Seattle. Now there's a lot of hoopers. Like people sleep on that Seattle area. You got Nate Robinson, you got Jamal Crawford, you got Jason Terry. A lot of guys have come from that West Coast Seattle area, but they normally go to college in the West. So what did Roy Williams tell you you didn't go to UCLA, you didn't go to Washington like Brandon Roy and some of the other legends that came from out there. You came all the way East Coast to my stomping ground. What made you come to UNC? What was Roy's selling point? How did you get a kid from the West Coast to come that far east?
You know what? So my pops is from North Carolina. So growing up, all I knew was Carolina. Like he used to put in the Coach Smith instructional videos, and we used to sit and watch those. And everything he had was North Carolina. So I'll be wearing his stuff. And so growing up as a kid, that's all he ever embedded in me was Carolina. Now, as I got older and I started to think for myself a little bit, I wanted to go to the University of Washington. You're talking about Nate Robinson was there, Brandon Roy was there, Will Conroy. I mean, they had a hell of a team when I was coming out of high school. So I really wanted to go to school there, but I felt like going to Chapel Hill was going to be best for me. I wanted to play for Coach Williams. I knew that he was at Kansas at the time, but then when he left and came to Carolina, I kind of felt like it was destined for me to come there. Like I wanted to play for him. My dad has always taught me Carolina, so I felt like that was the move for me. So that's why I went.
Hey, Marv, one more follow-up. Because, see, back then, man, this was a long time ago, man. Guys could go straight to the league. You were one of those guys. You didn't have to go to Carolina. A lot of guys in your draft class actually went straight to the league. Yeah. What made you say, you know what? I'm gonna try this college thing for a year, not just go for the guaranteed cash.
You know, I wanted to experience college. You know, that was something that I was very clear on. Coming out of high school, I think we had like 8 or 9 dudes go pro. Dwight Howard, Josh Smith, Darrell Wright, Al Jefferson. I mean, we had a ton of guys go straight from our class to the pros. But college was something that I wanted to experience, man. And I'm really thankful that I did it.
Hey, Marv, you know UCLA had to steal me away from Washington, so maybe Ryan Hollins might have you dealt with Roe, man. That's all family right there. I didn't even know you were like one of them Seattle boys, man. It's a lot of comp up there. But what's interesting, earlier you said you were the young boy on the team playing with the older kids. When you got to Carolina, man, y'all had so many first-round draft picks from from Felton to Sean May. And, I was a young Bobcat on the team. I felt like we were like North Carolina #2. It was destined for you to be a Bobcat. But it was destined, Hornet now. I'm dating myself. What was it like during that championship run, being one of the younger guys on the team? And then it was odd enough, you were getting the exposure. You came off the bench, but like your game wasn't flashy. You were so fundamental at that age. And for a lot of young draft picks and these young kids now, they think they got to go score 30 or 40, but you were the second pick in the draft off just playing basketball the right way at such a young age.
Yeah, I felt like for me, Ryan, like I could not have been more thankful. I cannot be more thankful for the upperclassmen that I had. And not even the upperclassmen, but the guys that were gone into the pros, guys like Brendan, who came back every summer and taught me how to work hard, taught me how to work on my game. You see Vince, you see Shimon walking around there every summer. I mean, there were so many OGs that used to come back to Chapel Hill and like basically showed you how things were supposed to be done there. When I had guys like,
we are family. Let them know it's bigger than basketball. We are family at UNC.
That's a fact.
Davis picnic one time.
That's a fact. So the upperclassmen that I had, man, showing me how to do things the right way. I definitely give them a ton of credit for my success as a basketball player.
And Marv, we're talking about that run you have when you're at Carolina, and it was a little bit, you talk about working and learning how to work, and we definitely had some intense pickup games, and the pickup games were incredible. But for you coming in with so much hoopla, you're supposed to be the man, and you end up being the sixth man. Was that hard to deal with? Did you feel you should have started? Like, how did you just push out all the noise and say, you know what, I'm going to be the best sixth man I can be, and I'm still going to go out there and shine? You still end up being the #2 pick in the draft and winning a championship.
Yeah, 6 men aren't #2 picks in the draft, man. Like, we want to know how that happened. Like,
if you're the #2 pick, you're the leading scorer on your team. So
yeah,
I want you to expound on that, because I know you, but I want everybody else to get the person, because that takes a certain type of mentality, especially at that age, to be like, I ain't going to worry about the outside noise. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to win, and I'm still going to get this check.
See, I think for me, I wanted to be a part of something great. I just wanted to have fun. Obviously with an opportunity to go pro, I turned that down. Coach Williams came to my house. He came all the way to Bremerton, and he was the only coach that recruited me that never promised me anything. And that is what I appreciated. Like, I felt like I wanted to earn anything that I got. And he told me that if I came to Chapel Hill and I worked as hard as I could, I would have an opportunity to play. He never told me I was going to start. He never told me how much I would play. Never told me I would get X amount of shots. So I felt like if I can just go in there and earn whatever I get, I can do the rest if he just gives me an opportunity to do that. And that's what I took it as. For me, I played. It didn't matter whether I started. I finished a lot of games. I was able to contribute. I was able to help. And that's just the type of person that I am. I feel like when things are about winning and nothing else, it doesn't matter. Like, you'll do whatever you got to do to win. And that's what Carolina is about. And that's what I'm about.
Hey, Mar, that's crazy. You got me over here pumped up. I'm a little salty right now at you guys' college experience. I'm a little salty. I'm going to be honest. Mar, bro, like, you are so even kill. Like, it's crazy. But you end up being the second pick in the draft, bro. I always feel like the first time I realized that I was in the NBA, I was playing for the Bobcats. We were playing a preseason game against the Heat at Carolina. And I remember just looking down during the national anthem. I saw all my teammates. I saw Shaquille O'Neal. This was white hot Heat when they won the championship. D Wade and Haslam and all them on the other side. I looked down. I saw I had an NBA jersey on. I saw my parents in the crowd. I was like, yo, dang, fam, like, I made it. When was that moment where you slowed down and realized you were the #2 pick in the draft, dog? Like, when did it hit you? Because as hoopers, we have tunnel vision, and you're not a guy that necessarily gets excited over things like that, but it's a dream, dog.
Yeah, I feel like everything you said. I think my first summer league experience, I would say, which is crazy. It wasn't like the actual season. I really realized at that point, like, I wasn't playing with my peers anymore. Like, these are grown men. You know what I mean? Like, these dudes really have, like, families to feed. And I felt like that was different for me. I was a young pup. I was a fresh 19. You know what I mean? I didn't have facial hair. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm really trying to, like, get an understanding of, like, this is real life. It's not like college anymore. You know what I mean? So it was an adjustment period for me, but I think that summer league was really my experience. And then, like, when the regular season started, I'll never forget, man. You guys all know what the travel is like, being in the NBA, whatever the case may be. So it's a true story. Every city I would go to, my mom used to want me to call her no matter what time of night it was. Call me and let me know you made it. It's a true story. So, man, listen, I called my mom. We had a back-to-back. It was probably like around game 50 or 60. And we were in Orlando, and I called my mom. I fell asleep on the bus. And she was like, where are you at? Man, I literally had to take a second. Like, I had no idea where I was. I had to look at the hotel room phone and, like, remember, okay, hey, I'm in Orlando. Like, that's when I really realized, like, this NBA stuff is not for kids, man. It's for real grown men. So there was a few moments my rookie year for sure.
Hey, let me hop in, Marvin. On that same note, man, did you have a welcome to the NBA moment? A lot of people don't know this. You gave me a welcome to the NBA moment, dog. And I tell everybody, Brendan, am I lying?
He tells everybody.
It was like my second game playing, and I'm like, oh, Marvin's like 6'9", he cool. I'm like, college wing, he's a wing, right? And I was on the weak side, and you slipped a pick, and you jumped. Your head was at the rim. You caught back, and boom, you dunked. So I was like, dog, is this the league? And then they just subbed me right out, like, nah, young fella, like you ain't, like you gave me my welcome to the league moment. People don't know that. Like I was like, yo, what? I was like, hold on, Marvin Williams got bounced like that. Like, did you have a moment like, hold on, man, like this dude is just dumb strong, or like, whoa, this ain't Chapel Hill no more. I kind of murdered Chapel Hill in high school, but this is the big boys.
Man, listen. So I remember my rookie year, and this is all in the same week. I had LeBron, Carmelo, Caron Butler.
Oh no!
All in the same week.
Oh.
In the same. You were at Washington.
Ooh, yes.
At Washington. Yes.
Caron was giving people buckets.
I'm like, listen, man. There's no way these dudes expect me to guard these cats every night. You know, and I'm talking about got cooked. And then that same month, we go to Jersey. I have to guard Vince. I'll never forget it. Vince came off a pick. They zippered him up to the top of the key. He caught the ball. I thought he was going to come off a screen. He takes one dribble, snatches it back between the legs. I promise y'all I did the splits. Top of the key. I'm so thankful he missed it, man. I'm glad YouTube and Twitter and all that stuff wasn't out like that, because I would have been in big trouble. Big trouble.
Hey, Mark, let me ask you that, man, because a lot of people don't remember, dog. They think about Hoodie Mello, Skinny Mello now in Portland. You know what I'm saying? Like, talk to me about Carmelo, dog. I want to run down those lists, dog. Like, what people don't know about Mello back in the Mello who used to smile, the game was so easy for him.
Yeah, man. It seemed like, he's talking about guys that are like, he's God gifted when it comes to basketball. Like, he literally makes it look that easy. To play against somebody that was that big, that strong, that quick, you know what he was like. Melo was one dribble. He's putting anybody in the basket, from the mid-range. Not to mention, if he got cooking and he was making 6, 7, 8 threes, like, you had no chance to guard him. No chance. It was really cool to see, the season that he had. I was really happy for him. I don't know him personally, but just kind of being, a fan of his game and a competitor against him, to see him kind of play the way he played in Portland, man, I was really happy for him, man, definitely.
And Marv, you're talking about your rookie year, and you were the number 2 pick in the draft. A lot of people forget you were the number 2 pick in that draft. And I had an experience where when I was in Charlotte towards the end, I was playing with Bismack Biyombo, who was an early pick. And he talked about the pressure of being one of those top-tier picks, a top 10 pick. Because Biz was trying to go out there and score. Like, Biz, ain't nobody going to pay you to score. I was like, no, seriously, I had a conversation. I said, Biz, no one's going to pay you to score. Don't worry about where you were drafted. Do what you do well. But he felt so much pressure because he was a high-level pick. He felt like he had to try to score. Did you feel that same, being number 2, like, dog, I got to try to carry this franchise? Were there nights where you just felt like, am I going to put it together? Because a lot of young guys now are talking about that pressure that they felt in the league, because it's cool to talk about it now, but back then guys kind of hid it. Did you feel the pressure?
You know what, B? There's always great expectations, when you're drafted where you're drafted, and that's something that you can never run from, and that's in any sport. Yeah. So obviously when I was drafted top 3, you obviously want to perform, but I feel like at the end of the day, the one thing that I was mature enough to know and to feel like is that the only expectations I ever felt like I had to meet were my own. I felt like I have to look myself in the mirror every single day for the rest of my life or for the rest of my career and say, did you do the best that you could do? The reality of it is you're never going to meet everyone's expectations anyway. So why would you spend all your time trying to do that? For me, it was just, I had to make sure that I was trying to be the best player that I could be. And now that I'm retired and 15 years later, when people probably didn't think I was going to last 15 years, I feel like when I wake up every single morning, my career is something for me to be proud of. You know what I mean? Obviously, I was never an all-star, never made All-NBA, whatever the case may be. And I understand those are expectations of a top 3 pick. But at the end of the day, I feel like I had a solid career, man. I lasted 15 years, which is, I mean, I don't know how many people you know lasted 15 years in any career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've been blessed, man.
Hey, listen,
and I walked away. I wasn't kicked. I walked away. You know what I mean? I walked away.
You still could have played. You could have played like 2-3 more seasons.
Without a doubt.
Hey, Marv, is the door completely closed?
Hey, man. Like I told you before, man, I'm still waking up training every day. I'm still training every day.
Okay, we just asking.
I'm still training every day.
Are you still doing basketball workouts right now, or are you just like lifting and cardio and stuff? You're still doing basketball?
I haven't touched the ball since I left the bubble. I have not touched the ball since I left it, but I am still I'm still on the treadmill. I'm still in the weight room every day.
Hey, Mark, talk about longevity. You right up there with LBJ, man. We talking about LBJ playing them years at a high level, man. You've been hooping. Obviously, you're not LeBron, but talk to me about, like, I want to tag back, fam. You had to guard a young LeBron. Obviously, he's so seasoned now. The game is in slow motion when he plays.
Right.
Is there a moment, man, because you guys are around that same age, kind of same area, where LeBron just made a crazy athletic play where you're like, dog, like this dude is different here. Something that stood out, or like what made him so hard to cover? Because, dog, you are one of the best defenders in the league, like a great defender, good size, high motor. What was that like?
I think for me, like, I always felt like physically I could compete with most guys. I'm longer. I felt like I got decent strength and I was able to move my feet, whatever the case may be. But I felt like with him, he was just on a different planet with his physicality. And I think with LeBron, he's so unselfish and he's such a great passer. Some nights you might be able to get away with him maybe scoring like 20 or 25. But if LeBron felt like scoring 40 or 45, he was going to let you know that he was going to score 40 or 45. And I feel like people sometimes, like, take that for granted. That man could average 35 a game if he wanted to, easily. He's just such a great passer and he's so unselfish. He likes to have 28 and 12. As opposed to 35 and 5.
And more, obviously, like you said, you talk about guarding LeBron when you were in Utah. I mean, when you were in Atlanta, then you end up leaving Atlanta. The expectations are different, and you go to Utah. And this, to me, is where, like, the second part of your career starts, where you're no longer trying to be the superstar. You're like, I'm going to be the good vet blending guy that just always helps you win. I think that started for you in Utah, and you loved it out there, and they loved you back. But what was that transition out of Atlanta and going to Utah? Because a lot of people don't want to go to be a free agent in Utah. You loved it out there, fam. One time I was like, man, we were about to go play pickup. He's like, yo, I'm gonna leave. I'm leaving. Like, where you going? He's like, I'm going to Utah to look for a house. I'm like, dog, you don't buy an off-season home in Utah? Yeah. Dog, he loved it out there, man.
Oh.
I still love biggest hidden gem in the league. I'm telling you right now, Salt Lake City. I love Salt Lake City. It was such a change of pace for me on the court and off the court. You go from Atlanta to Salt Lake, it's like, it's two different worlds. You know what I mean? I'll never forget, I got off the plane with my brother and my cousin, Jawan. Jawan flew out there with him and Kenny. We got out there, man. We stepped off the airplane. People walking around in cowboy boots, cowboy hats. Jawan looked at me, he was like, bro, where are we? Like he literally was like, where are we at? And I just laughed, like, yeah, this is home for us now. But I had a blast, man. Those fans are great. The city loves Utah basketball. We had a great time living out there. It was cool. So obviously when I was in Atlanta, I played the 3. So I played small forward the whole time. So when I got to Utah, the first year I was there, I played the 3, but I was hurt. I had an Achilles issue. I had bone spurs in my Achilles tendon. So end up getting all-season surgery. We bring in Richard Jefferson. Richard Jefferson plays the 3. So I'll never forget, Ty Corbin comes to me when I was supposed to come back, and he was like, hey, I think we're going to put you at the 4 when you come back. I had never played the 4. And this is like when, like, Ryan, there were still like real 4s. You know what I mean?
Big 4s. Zach Randolph, Tim Duncan.
This Al Jefferson at
Kevin
the 4.
Garnett.
Yes, sir.
Kevin Love at the 4.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm telling him, I'm like, hey, I hold my own down there, but like, bruh, I don't know. These dudes got me about 20, 30 pounds every night. But that's when I kind of felt like I was so blessed because the game started to change then. Yep. Golden State went really small, and then everybody started playing small. And that's when I just really started spacing the floor. And so I really I was so thankful. I was so blessed. I kind of got away. I got a chance to kind of rehab my Achilles and kind of just spot up and shoot threes. I wasn't really actually doing anything but play defense and shoot. And then it kind of just evolved from there. When I got to Charlotte, Steve Clifford really took that part of my game to a completely different level, who I'm so thankful for. I really love playing for him. And, I just got lucky, man. I really did. I've been so blessed, so blessed.
Was that a conversation? Was there a coach that came to you specifically? Because, Marv, I don't know if you know, like, we play each other all the time. And I remember, I'd have seen the scout report too many darn times, fam. And I remember that scout report went from driver, spot up shooter to like knockdown shooter. Like no, he is shooting the ball. Like the big man's rolling, he's popping up. He is shooting the ball at a high clip. He's averaging 2 or 3 makes a game. Like run him off of. It went from like closeout to like run him off the line. Like, was there a specific conversation or something you did training wise where the trainer was like, dog, like, this is going to be the longevity I'm going to have? Like, we always hear, like, you want to stick in the league, get your skill together. Like, what was that moment? Was it a coach? Was it a trainer? What was it, dog?
So my last year in Atlanta, Rick Sun, we got a new GM, Rick Sun. And Rick Sun sat me down and he told me, he was like, hey, if you're going to play the 3, you have to at least shoot the corner 3s. I used to never shoot 3s, ever. I went one year, shot 10 3s. I made 1 at Detroit. It was a half-court heave. That was the only 3 I made. 1 for 10 from 3.
Games changed.
Man, I'm telling you, crazy, right? So he was like, yo, you have to at least shoot the corners. So in that summer, I started working on the corners. And then when I came to Charlotte, like Cliff was like, listen, man, you can shoot. We need you to shoot this. So there's a trainer, obviously me and B worked out with Keith Veeney, shot dog. Listen, man, he has some of the most intense shooting drills I have ever done. I get angry sometimes even thinking about some of the stuff that he used to make us do. You know what I mean? I'm talking like 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 6 in a row. Sometimes if you touch rim, he didn't like it. Shoot it again. You know what I mean? So when you're doing that every single day, for a summer, your shot starts to look a little bit different over time, man. And I feel like just the work that I put in with him all summer, all the time, it really paid dividends for me.
Man, hey, he is not lying. Those workouts with Keith Veeney, Keith Veeney is a hidden gem in the league. He's helped so many guys with their shot. And I literally saw Marv's shot get better and better because when we first used to play pickup, Marv used to live in the mid-range. Mid-range or drive hard right. We knew we had to cut that right hand off before he got downhill and banged it on us. But then as he worked with Keith all summer long, his game changed. And next thing you know, he was catching and shooting and the ball was barely even touching his hands. He was letting it go. And the game, your game evolved, and it was right on time, like you said, because they started phasing big men out that couldn't shoot the basketball. They didn't want guys to play like Al Jefferson and those guys anymore. And that's what gave you another start in Charlotte because, like you said, Clifford, they had it going on. What was that? Like you talk about Cliff saying, hey, you need to be this type of guy and the situation in Atlanta. But once again, in Charlotte, you're the elder statesman. You're playing with the young Kemba Walker. I got a chance to play with Kemba Walker. When you see Kemba Walker's game where he is right now, what impressed you the most?
I think now, like his evolution, I feel like the game is truly easy for him. And like Walker's one of them guys where like he might not be feeling the best physically. He might be sick or he might be a little bit beat up, whatever the case may be. But when it's 7 o'clock, like who you're gonna get. You know what I mean? When there's 5 minutes left in the game, you know who you're gonna get. You know what I mean? So to watch him and see the success that he's had, not only in Charlotte, but to see how great he did in Boston, to see how much Boston embraced him and how much his teammates love him, man. I'm truly, truly happy for him, man. It was really fun, man. One of the best dudes I've ever played with, one of the best guys that I ever met, no question.
Hey, Marv, was there a play in practice or something, during the game where you were like, fam, this dude is different. He built different, fam. Cardiac, when we call him cardiac, Kemba was yeah, I'm like, okay. Oh, okay.
Man, we played Philly. We played somebody. Kemba went crazy one night. We played somebody. He had like 45 in 3 quarters. Coach didn't even play him in the 4. He went nuts. And then maybe like a couple of weeks later, he dropped 60 on Philly. 60. I'm like, yo, this dude, sometimes you be out there just watching him, like legit watching him. Like, he's so small, so quick, but to see how he gets to the basket, finishes with either hand, pull up from 3, coming off the pick and roll. I mean, he's got a different drive to him, man, when it comes to like winning and losing. I mean, the dude is ultra competitive. He just does not like to lose.
Hey, Marv, let me hop in too, man. Your young boy exploded onto the scene this year, Devontae Graham, the most improved player in the NBA. I'm sorry, okay? Because when I think about the first round picks, they're supposed to be good. Okay, Brandon Ingram was supposed to be what he ended up. He was projected to be. They were like, okay, player comparison, Kevin Durant. He's being what he's supposed to be. Nobody saw Devontae Graham coming, fam. Like, did you see that coming? Did it surprise you? Was there what was he like, dog? Like, was there a moment like, hey, dog, like Devontae, let's go shoot. Like, let's go shoot. Let's go work out. Was there something you did taking him under your wing in Charlotte?
You know what's funny, Ryan? The kid is so. To answer your question, I was not surprised by the year he had last year. Not even a little bit. Not even one. If you saw what he did in college, you knew the kid can play. Like, he's not a scrub. One, two, to watch him watch TP every day, Tony Parker, to watch him watch Kemba every day. Like, he literally sat there and watched those dudes. Like, if they did it, like, he asked TP questions all the time about how do you play for 20 years? What do you see when you run in the pick and roll like this? Asking Kemba, when the bigs drop back, how do I get into this pull up? Like, watching film with these dudes, he literally watched those dudes every single day. So to see the success that he had, man, I could not be more happy for him, man. He didn't complain. He was in the G League for a little while. He took advantage of his opportunities down there when he played. Every day at practice, he competed. Like, he was genuinely just soaking it all up, and then he finally got an opportunity, and you see where he's at, man. I'm really looking forward to the season that he's going to have this year for sure.
Obviously, you end up moving on from Charlotte. You play for Milwaukee. You get a chance to see the Greek Freak up close and personal. I know you've competed against him, but now you get to play on his team. What makes him so special? Was there any moment that you just were in a game and you're like, yo, he just did what? Like, I know sometimes like one time I was watching him play and he made a move and I had to rewind it. I was like, yo, fam, did he just take one dribble from half court and dunk that thing? Like, hold on. Like, yeah. And it wasn't a travel. It wasn't a travel. Like, is there anything you've seen or a specific play where you're like, yo, dog, he the next one. This dude's crazy.
Yo, I'm going to tell y'all right now, like, he's different. And I mean different in the sense of, like, Giannis takes – you hear people say, like, I play every game like it's my last game. Like, he really takes that to heart. And it's not just games, though. It's practice. Like, my very first day there, we had practice. You know, we ran, like, a little scrimmage or whatever. Giannis comes down, dunks 3 straight times on the white team. So I'm sitting here looking around, and I'm like, man, is this dude – I asked George Hill, I'm like, yo, he does this every day, doesn't he? He's like, yo, every day. In his individual workouts, he dunks everything. Like, it's not like – so the stuff that we see him do every day, like, you'll see on SportsCenter and be like, yo, but it's almost normal to us. Yeah. But he works on it. That's how he approaches the game. I mean, he's got a different energy, a different drive, a different motor to him. He truly, truly wants to be great. He's like 25 or 26 years old. 2-time MVP. He's going to guaranteed win another one. Probably have a couple of rings under his belt when he's done. But he's one of those guys that every day, man, he comes to the gym and puts his heart out on every day. Every day.
And I saw you said he's probably going to get a couple of rings. Obviously, Milwaukee has fallen short the last 2 seasons. Would you see him up close and personal? What do you think he has to do, or what adjustments does he have to make in his game to actually lead Milwaukee to a championship?
I think Giannis, he'll continue to get better. He'll continue to grow. I think the Miami series that you guys obviously seen was a learning experience, not only for him, but for everybody. You know, Miami forced guys to do things that, you know, that we hadn't had to do all season long. You know what I mean? Whether it be shooting or playing with the pass, or maybe you have to score on the block, or, you know, whatever the case may be, they were so good defensively. They did a great job of taking us out of what we had been successful with all year long. So I think his game will continue to grow. He'll continue to get better on the block. He'll continue to be the playmaker that he is. His shooting will continue to get better. I think Giannis is going to be a scary, scary guy, man, when he's in his early 30s. I really do.
Twofold question, man. I want to ask, and I want to follow back up with something else on kind of you guys' experience in the bubble. Giannis is the guy, like, and to me, he's a throwback, because when things get tough, he bang, bang, like, he goes even harder. Yeah. How did he take that Miami loss? Like, how did he get injured? Like, what did you see different in him where, like, all right, fam, like, this is scary the way it's about to change him?
It was, first of all, y'all know how it is when you lose, man. It's always tough. It's always hurtful. I think everybody was just, you know, so hurt. But I think it hurt him the most because he could not compete. You know, he couldn't. I watched him get treatment literally around the clock. The man was getting treatment like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, he was doing everything that he could to play, and he just could not play. You know, and I think that's what really hurt him the most, man. And, guys just appreciated him for the attempt, to stay up till 2 a.m. to get treatment, to get up at 7 a.m. to continue to get treatment. Like everything that he was doing to try to play, he just couldn't physically do it. So, I mean, guys understood, man, and guys appreciated the effort and the leadership that he was bringing to our team. But I think just for us to get bounced the way we did and for our team to be as good, as we were, it would drive anybody. It would drive anybody to be better, and he'll definitely come back better.
And let me ask this too, man. You guys this year made history, not like change stuff, made the newspaper. Like you guys made history when you guys walked out of the game against Orlando. The NBA shook up. I mean, we're living in wild times, man. COVID, civil unrest. But the leadership that came out of you guys' locker room, it hit every single sport, every household. And me and Brendan, we always talk about, as athletes, taking advantage of your impact and like, well, if we knew what we knew now, maybe there's certain things we could have done. Sure. Talk to me about that day, that game, the mindset. When I played during the Sterling saga, we walked out and we threw our little jerseys down. Sure. Y'all suckers didn't play. So like the whole day, we just threw our jerseys down, we played, and we got smacked that day. What were the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings like, bro?
What was that meeting? What was that meeting like? Like, what? Take us into what was it like when somebody was like, "Yo, we shouldn't play"? What was that meeting like?
Man, I'll tell y'all. So what happened? So we're all getting dressed. Y'all know this. It's probably like 60 on the clock or whatever. We're all getting dressed. We meet at 30. Team meetings at 30. Coach is never late. So man, it's like 30 on the clock or 28 on the clock, and we're looking around like, yo, where's Coach? What happened before that? I'm sorry, I'll take you back. What happened before that? One of our coaches, Darvin Ham, he was having a tough time struggling about what was going on with like the social injustices and stuff in the world. Darvin's got young sons, 20 years old. And for anybody with kids, I mean, us as black men, period, you shouldn't have a fear of going to like the grocery store and not making it home. You understand what I'm saying? Just because you're disputed. So he's got young kids and he's just thinking about his sons. So he has a hard time. Him and Bud, they kind of embraced before all this happened. So George Hill's not getting dressed. He's just kind of sitting there. So we thought maybe he just wasn't playing. So finally he was like, yo, I can't play today. And we were like, why not? He was like, man, my heart is just too heavy. His mind wasn't in it. His heart wasn't in it. And so Sterling Brown, being the man and the teammate that he is, who's obviously dealing with the case of his own from social injustice in Milwaukee, he decided to stand with his brother. So they came in and they made an announcement like, hey, George has decided not to play because of what's going on, and I'm going to stand with him. They were like, man, if you guys want to go out there and play, we respect it. There's no hard feelings. There's nothing, but I'm going to stand with him. Like, this is what we're going to do. You guys, there's 20 minutes on the clock. Like, literally, we're in full jersey, full uniform. We're about to go over to scout. There's 20 on the clock. So after Sterling said that, like, the room kind of went quiet, and Giannis gets up and was like, yo, George, you're not playing. I'm standing with you. I'm not playing. Wow. So the rest of us were like, yo, we're not playing. Like, I'm not, like it was like that, like 20 minutes ago. So Bud, man, listen, man, Bud's one of the coolest cats I ever met before Coach. Game 5 of the playoffs, he was like, man, you guys don't want to play? We're all standing with you. We ain't going. He didn't say nothing else about nothing. Like, basketball he couldn't have cared less about basketball at this moment. And I have so much respect for him as a man and as a coach to just kind of empathize with black men are going through, in this country. So we all stood together. The NBA basically came in and was like, yo, you guys ain't coming out to warm up. What's going on? So we had to tell them we weren't going to play. So when we told them we weren't going to play, I guess Orlando was out there warming up. And Orlando, much respect to those guys, Coach Cliff, those teammates, those players, and their staff, they decided to stand with us. They were like, if they're not going to play, we're going to. So that's when, like, everybody, like, stopped. So then we stood in the locker room, and we met with a ton of people, man. We talked to the lieutenant governor back in Wisconsin, which was great. We got a chance to speak to George Floyd's parents, which was great. We spoke to a lot of people, like, talked about a lot of different ways that we can kind of go out into the communities and make change, man. And it was a long day. It was a really, really long day. It was an emotional day, but it was something that I'll never forget, man, for sure.
And Marv, for you, obviously, after the experience, just that experience and then just being in the bubble period, you make the decision fairly quickly to walk away. And I remember you sent me a text. You were like, yo, B, you said, how did you know when it was time to retire? And so for me, I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, we were in practice one day and Kyrie Irving Euro stepped me out of bounds. And I knew it was a fast break. I was trying to catch him. He was on the left-hand side. I was on the right-hand side. I kept going. He Euro to the right. I just kept going straight into the stands and couldn't stop. I was like, yo, man, I don't know if I got many more years left, man. These wheels are that was my moment of practice. Like, yo, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to play anymore. For you, was there a situation where you said you didn't want to come back? A moment like that, or was it just like mentally you were like, I'm burnt out with this. I need to figure out what the next challenge for my life is.
Yeah, I think. Well, like you said, the text message that I sent you, I spoke to you. I spoke to Mike Bibby, and then I talked to Al, just chopping it up, Al Jefferson. But I mean, I reached out to you and I reached out to Mike, and I asked him the same thing. But for me, man, I felt like I had one more year left on my deal, which was last year, and I told my lady I was going to play this year out and see how I felt, see how things were. And so when I talked to my daughter, who's 5 now, and I asked her, I was like, man, how do you feel if daddy goes back to playing basketball? And she just shook her head, man. Her eyes just started watering. I was like, are you okay? She was like, man, I just don't want you to leave anymore. Like, I don't want you to leave anymore. And I was like, man, at that point, I'm done. I'm done. My dad, the one thing my father has always taught me, I got no other job in this world but to be a father. And that's the bottom line. And so at that point, I knew, like, there's no more basketball for me. You know what I mean? And I was okay with that. Again, like, I'm thankful. I was super blessed for the opportunities that I had. I felt like I probably could have got like another maybe 1 or 2 year deal somewhere, but it's not worth it if my daughter's going to feel that kind of hurt because I have to go to work. So that's why I decided to be done, man.
Hey, listen, you know me. I just had my daughter's 7 months old, Alani Joy Haywood.
Yeah, man.
Like, the only good thing about this pandemic is the fact that I get to interact so much with her because I was been working, but now it's just me and her every morning. Marv, should be up at 6 every morning from 6 to 12. I'll be one-on-one with no safety help. It's just me and her. So I feel your pain because just looking into Alani's eyes, man, I already feel like she's not even able to talk like that. So at 5 years old, I already know your daughter just tugged on your heartstrings right there. I feel like you made the right decision and you had a great career. And man, we appreciate you coming on and rocking with us and just giving us some of your time. But before we let you go, we always ask one fun question. One fun question. What was your, we call it maybe your club moment or I'll just say your all moment. You're not a big club guy. Your all moment where you're in the NBA, you're not on the court, you run into another superstar, whether it was an actor, actress, whoever, and you were just kind of in awe, like, yo, that's so-and-so. What was your moment like that?
Man.
I mean, I think I had one where, I was in the club out with BD and the fam, UCLA fam, and we in the back room at some restaurant, like after hours. I'm like, dog, it's open at 3 a.m. and it's me and the game. And me and Game, this is before he was the game, like he was Dre's artist and it was coming out. We had sidekicks and we talking about college basketball and NBA and all that. And I'm like, dog, this dude is about to be the biggest rapper on the planet, dog. And we're chopping it up. He talking about he a fan of what I do. Like, dog, how does he even know my name? We had so many, dog, I was in the club with Prince one time, fam. Brendan had a square down with Mike Tyson, fam. I mean, you got a couple moments where you check if you're in your body.
That's dope. Man, I think for me, probably when I was in Atlanta, you in Atlanta, man, everybody who's anybody might be at the games, whether it be like, could be Gucci, could be Jeezy, could be us, like anybody who's in town, could be at the game, could be Ross. So I remember one time we went to Gladys Knight's to eat right there on Peachtree, and they sat us in our usual table, sat in the corner, and Ross walks in. I was like, damn. Yeah, and it's like Port of Miami, it just came out. You know what I mean? So he's got the big triple C's on the chain that he had on. The beard was clean. The glasses were dope. But he was cool, man. He spoke, said what's up. So I feel like the time that we sat next to Ross, and the time I met Tyson. I met Tyson when I was younger, though.
You met Mike?
Yeah, I met Tyson. Tyson when I was younger.
That's a scary guy, man. That's a scary looking guy, man.
Yo, he was one of the nicest dudes I ever met. He was one of the nicest, man. He was walking through the airport by himself. He had like a security dude that was like carrying his bags. But he stopped this. He's one of the nicest dudes ever, man. That was a cool moment for me because he's always been my boxing champ growing up.
It's funny. All the NBA players talk about Iron Mike. We've had so many Iron Mike stories, dog. Man, that's wild. But Marv, man, congratulations on retirement, dog. I've always been a big fan. You got an old soul fam. You are whether it's coaching, broadcasting, whatever you want to dive into, man. I know that the world is the limit, man. I think it's cool. This is your first maybe post-retirement podcast you popped on, man. But we want to, man, definitely thank you for coming out, man. It's been a blessing, brother, and nothing but success to you, bro.
No, I appreciate all you guys, man. Thanks for having me, man. Most definitely. Much respect. What's going on, man? This is Marvin Williams, retired NBA veteran. And I'm just giving a big shout out to the Opinionated 7-footers, man.
We so opinionated, 7-footers who made it, block shots, dunked on some of the greatest. P-Town and Carolina in touch with the latest. Posting up on the topics, ain't no way you can stop this. Hollins and Haywood, post off the pivot, living life to live it. Tie suits are fitted, cash up, mash up, now we hook, skidding. Stadium to the set, we the littest. And the biggest.